Just, you know, when the real estate market collapsed, there were foreclosures all over the country. You know, people lose their job. They had a house that a husband and a wife both needed to work to pay the mortgage, and one of them loses their job and the economy downturn, and they lose their house. Well, I would bet many people who lost their homes in foreclosure ended up homeless. I mean, I don't know the exact numbers. I don't have it, you know, documented. But I know that I've read in the past that there's a lot of people in this country that they say are one paycheck away from being homeless because they don't have any set aside. You know, they might be making their payments every month, making their car payment, making their house payment, but they don't have any money put aside and any money saved. So if something does happen, like they lose their job, they're going to be in serious trouble.
They think all homeless people are bad, and you know, all homeless people are not bad. They just out here trying to make a living like everybody else, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to make a living like everybody else. But it's hard though. It's hard. It's hard. But I just, you know, I just keep going and, you know, I just keep pushing and keep my faith in Him. That's the only way I made it, was my faith in God. Because if I hadn't kept my faith in Him, I would have took myself out.
I don't have any answers for solving the problems of homelessness, because I find just at the Weaver House, it's all over the board as far as the caliber of people that are living there. I mean, there's crackheads that, you know, all they want to do is scam people and keep doing their drugs, and they don't ever want any better life. And then there's other people who made mistakes in their life and, you know, maybe have an addiction or are in recovery, but they really want to straighten their life out, and they want to, you know, they want to move forward. They want to have a life. So I don't know. I think the people that, like myself and the others that, you know, want to make things better and are willing to work and put some effort into it, I think there's great hope for those people.
Because homelessness, at its essence, is the loss of all choices. It's the loss of all choices. You don't get to choose what you eat for breakfast. Can you imagine what that's like? You can't choose where to be. You can't choose to lock up your stuff. You can't choose to be safe at night. You can't choose anything. You can't choose your clothes. Basically, you just have to take what you can get. So that's been, I mean, it's such an eye-opener to be out there in the street and to know what's actually happening.
They don't have a voice in much of anything that they do. Somebody tells them what to do, where to eat, where to sleep, where they can go, where they can't go. They have no real agency in terms of their lives, except for what they can't do. And I think the Voice has given them an opportunity to be able to write about some of the issues that cause them to become homeless, or some of the issues that are still part of their lives as they are homeless, like disability issues and legal issues and health issues and Social Security issues. I mean, there's just a large range of things that people who are homeless have to deal with, but they have nobody to say how hard it is.
I just about cry when I think about people who don't have a roof over their head. I'm too old to sleep under a bridge in some of the weather that we've had. And I feel really sorry for people that I have bumped into that give evidence that they've been doing that. I want to do something about it. I want to be used of God to make a difference.
Five years ago, a young Elon University student saw a need for a newspaper. That young lady was Mary Yost, and the paper she started is called the Greensboro Voice. It's a paper for those dealing with homelessness, written by those who want to end poverty and homelessness.
The rest of that was 2010. It was right after I had retired from my banking job.
So you've been with them since the beginning?
Yes, from the very beginning, yeah.
The very humble beginnings.
Yes, very, very humble beginnings. It was, can't get any more humble.
And I decided that I would look at the IRC. And I had a friend who was the head of the IRC at that time, Liz Seymour, and she had told me a lot about homelessness and her challenges as heading the IRC, which when it was up on Bessemer Street. So I spent that whole semester doing research, interviewing people, just trying to figure out what I could do that would be useful. And when Mary came and gave her talk, I thought, well, this is something I know I can do. I can help people write, or I can write myself. So I became a writer and an editor for The Voice. We were co-editors for a long time, and then she went out west, and I just became the single editor.
Personality, one of these people, you know, sure we've all met people like this, but she walks in the room and the sun comes out. I don't care how dreary it is or how, you know, we'd meet up there in that Methodist church, and it was cold, and we had to wear our coats. And Mary was just Mary. She was out, very friendly, never met a stranger. You meet her the first time, you want to be her friend. She's just the happiest, probably one of the happiest people I've ever met. And, or at least she always was very upbeat. If she was unhappy, you never knew about it. So that's how, and I knew I was in the right place when I went there. So I decided to make that as one of my volunteer projects after having retired.
Our newspaper aims to serve as a vehicle for evaluating voices and public discussion on issues that are not frequently covered in mainstream media outlets. These issues include homelessness, facing potential homelessness, and the resources available to help those in need. This newspaper is for everyone: people experiencing homelessness, students, parents, and everyone who wants to have their voice heard. We hope the awareness gained from our newspaper will encourage the community to have a discussion about the issues and people who are normally ignored.
Her picture that I took, I only took one shot because I had to take it, but then I was also too shy to really ask her about herself. I didn't know what to say to her. And that bothered me that I hadn't found out about her situation, why she was there. So I went out on the street corners and started talking to people who beg on street corners, women mostly. course, eventually I got to know a lot of the men out there too. And that's how I got involved with the homeless. And then that's how I found out about the paper and started writing for the paper. Was one thing led to another.
What compelled you to take the picture for the first time?
It bothered me to see women begging, especially men, but especially women, because I just don't feel like in this society that's so wealthy that women should have to beg for any reason ever. And to see a young teenage mother begging on a street corner, it just bothered me too much. I couldn't let it go. I felt like somebody had to start doing something, and I didn't know if anybody was trying to help these people, but especially a young girl like that.
My well-to-do peanut farmer uncle, when I questioned him about how he got to where he was doing so well, he looked at me straight in the face and said, "You cannot possibly work hard enough." And picking up a pen and a piece of paper, he said, "Most of it is made with this right here." So I'm thrilled for the opportunity, even though it's an unpaid volunteer position, to be able to be used of God to use this right here to help some people that really need some help, the homeless community in Greensboro.
I think it helps people who's out there that want to get on their feet and want to, like if they have a good story, they want to share it with someone, and they want to let someone know, regardless of you being homeless, you're still a human being, you know, and you still can make a proper way in society. But if you just get a chance, but it's kind of hard for someone who has it all, knowing that they can make it, to someone who doesn't.
Benefited from being a Greensboro Voice staff is that just meeting the people, not so much, I mean, I love the articles because it kind of reinforces things, but meeting people who've been on the street, who 1,000 different stories. Every story is different.
There are a lot of statistics out there on homelessness and hunger. To people not dealing with the reality of the situation, these are just numbers. What the Greensboro Voice does is it makes those numbers into faces, names, and stories.
This family that came in to the IRC, a mother and her husband and their 3 children, and the look on their faces, the faces of the children, and how they were clinging to me as a person who just walked up to this little family who was homeless, was probably the most powerful story for me personally that I wrote. Just because I had to pull myself away from these little children who wanted to be rescued from the situation they were in. And it's always the children that get me. Because in all these people's lives, there's children. All these people on the street corners, they have families and kids and stuff. And all these homeless people, they have families, they have children. And it's the children that get me. They're the ones that tear at my heart. And sometimes it's the children that make me turn away for a while. It gets to be too much. But I always come back.
It's challenging, I'm sure, not to get involved, I guess.
It is. And especially in the beginning, I did get overly involved in some people's lives. Of course, I was doing more of an in-depth kind of story, and I needed to be involved, but I got pulled in too far. And I don't want to become a part of the problem, and I don't want to enable people. But when there's little ones involved and babies, it's difficult not to want to rescue, but we can't rescue them. We need to assist them and help them in the right direction, but we shouldn't just reach down and rescue them. I don't think that's helpful.